Welcome to The Adult Man. My name is William, and today I'm going to be testing a new fragrance from the Parisian cologne perfumer, Etat Libre d'Orange. I have some French cousins, they're laughing at my pronunciation now, but I'm going to unbox this. I'm going to give it a sniff test for the first time, and then I'm also going to review two of the brand's more popular colognes, fragrances, that is Fat Electrician and Hermann, I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm gonna go over those. Let's get into it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button down below right over there, and also give us a thumbs up. Really helps the channel, and I very much appreciate it. So as I said, today in this video, I'm going to review two of Etat Libre d'Orange's most popular fragrances. And then at the end, you want to stick around because they have a new fragrance called Exit the King. And I'm going to be giving that a sniff test for the first time and see if this is a cologne for all you dudes out there. This brand, Etat Libre d'Orange, I first kind of discovered them when I was doing a post on the 5 best woodsy colognes for men. I have a link to that article down in the description below, and I actually put this cologne, the Hermann à mes côtes, me paraissant un ombre. I don't know, I didn't pronounce any of that right, and I'm gonna continue to destroy the French language for the rest of this video, and my family forgives me, and also I don't really care. But I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna call this Hermann from now on because that name is too long for me. Hermann isn't really a super straightforward fragrance at all. Super complex, and it has a lot of resins in it. It gets some of its main woody notes from galbanum. And basically what you're getting isn't so straightforward, you know? It's not like a cedarwood, sandalwood sort of blast. It's a lot more complex, and so there's a lot to take in, especially on the top notes. You have a lot of fresh notes coming in from, you know, spice, black pepper, some of those notes that come in on the top and make this, to me, in my opinion, this is a great everyday cologne. If you want to stand out, if you want to have like a signature scent that you wear to the office, this is pretty appropriate all around. Like if you just were to get one cologne and just wear it, it does a good job at doing the balance of, like, it's got some freshness from the black pepper, but it's also has some patchouli and some galbanum, some of those more resinous woody tones in the base notes, so that you can wear this on a date night as well, and it would work just as well. I've also had some experience with the cologne Fat Electrician. I love the name, but that's a bold move and it sounds terrible, but this is actually fits a really good niche in anyone's fragrance collection because it is, as they define, a semi-modern vetiver. If you're unfamiliar with vetiver, it's kind of that classic old masculine, like wood, smoke, leather type fragrance, and that's vetiver. It gives off that really unique smell, and that was popular again back in the 50s and 60s. So maybe your grandpa, if he wore like Old Spice, that's a kind of a vetiver based masculine smell. But this one is way updated. It's way more complex than any of those fragrances, and that's why I like it. One of the interesting things about Etat Libre d'Orange is that they don't necessarily like put a gender on any of their fragrances. So they say, you know, some of them lean more towards a traditionally masculine scent, and some of them lean more towards a traditionally feminine scent. But what I noticed, so it kind of doesn't, you know, it's not, this is for men, you know, so it kind of leaves you on your first smell like, okay, is this something that I can get away with wearing? Like, you know, you don't want to put on like a woman's cologne and just wear it, or a woman's perfume and wear it around. You want to, at least I do, want to put on something that has some traditionally masculine smells, because you don't want to go around smelling like a lady. One of the interesting things about Fat Electrician is that my first impression, like on those top notes, is that it is pretty floral, and so it does have some of those rose notes, some delicate fragrance in there, so that at first you're kind of wondering like, oh man, like this might skew more towards that feminine end of the spectrum. But as it goes into the dry down, it really warms up, and then that wood, that smoke, that leather, that does really start to come through. And then you kind of get why there were all those rose notes up front, because it balances it out really well and it makes it this really smooth, warm, beautiful fragrance that is great if you're gonna do any of the, like a very intimate date or something like that. You're gonna be up close. You don't wanna spray too much on because it would be overpowering. But yeah, it's just this really warm, very subtle fragrance that I think it fits a niche in your collection. Whereas, you know, Hermann, I think that's more like an everyday signature scent type thing. This would be candlelit steak dinner night, something like that. So that is Fat Electrician. All right, now that we've talked about those two colognes, let's get to the main event. This is Etat Libre d'Orange's new fragrance, Exit the King. And now they have sent me this sampler set, and I don't really know anything about this cologne. I don't know what it smells like, so I figured we just open it up together and I give you my first impressions on this one. So let's do it. Let's get into it. All right, this cologne comes out on September 15th, so it's there. I'm gonna post this video probably before September 15th, but this comes out September 15th, so be ready to check that out. So the first, here it is, here's a sampler. First thing I'm noticing, bottle size, way different. Just kidding, this is a sampler. All right, let's give it a shot. It's interesting, that's very unexpected. It smells, has a very strong fragrance of that soapy soap foam, which is really good. But I'm getting some base notes in there. It's very fresh, almost like reminds me of like beach sand, something like very fresh, but a little bit. There's a good amount of woody fragrance in there as well, and that might be sandalwood. I'd say that's sandalwood more than cedar. But yeah, that's really good. It's a very fresh, so Exit the King, very fresh cologne. Yeah, I'm a fan of this. I think I'm gonna get less use out of this than here, just based on volume. But I'm excited to put this into my little rotation there. I think this is a great option we're getting into kind of the dog days of summer here. September's rolling around. I think this is a great fresh fall fragrance. So I'm definitely gonna be leaning into this for that. And yeah, I'm really happy with this brand. I mean, Etat Libre d'Orange, this is now my third fragrance that I experienced that I've had with them. They make the most complex fragrances that I have in my collection. And so I go for them whenever it's time to like crank things up a notch. You know, I'm still using Hawthorne cologne. That's kind of my base if I'm just like gonna spray on one or two sprays in the morning just to go about my normal day when nothing special is going on. I go with Hawthorne just because a little less expensive, and it's a really great cologne, but it's very straightforward. So that's could be a positive, could be a negative. You know, you get a really straightforward cologne, whereas Etat Libre d'Orange, not very straightforward. They're way more complex, but I think that makes for a more interesting fragrance. So for that reason, definitely worth checking out. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. Give me a thumbs up. And until next time, stay manly.